Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. We are rolling deep today, everybody. Joining me today, I've got Terry of the comic book room. So Terry, good to talk to you again.
Talk to you.
All right, I've got famed Colombian international footballer Max.
In the student box room, yeah.
You doing all right, bud?
Yeah, man, I'm good.
Awesome. All right, and joining us as well to give us a nice round four, we've got previously longer bearded man who used to come on here quite often. He's joining us to give us his take on recent Everton things. We've got David back with us. David, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good. How are you, Gerry?
I'm all right, man.
That's
I'm in
good,
pretty
man.
good headspace these days, except for, Everton feelings, but they're getting better. It'll be all right. So, gentlemen, extra time, 2-0 win to Everton wearing their salmon, which looked pretty smart, I gotta be honest. And that's why I wore this shirt. It's the only thing I had that had something close to that pink. It's literally, I had nothing else. Everything else I have is red-ish, and I don't wear red normally. Yeah, so there's the blue nerd in me. So guys, starters: Pickford, Sidibe, Holgate, Mina, Dean, Davies, Delph, Bernard, Iwobi, Richarlison, and Calvert-Lewin. Immediately, there's some things that pop out at you about that particular lineup. But there's too many to sit there and list it quickly. So we're gonna go one by one. But I want to start with David, who has been able to kind of crunch the numbers and check out the statistics on this one. Dave, what stuck out for you about this particular match, about yesterday?
I felt like the damage was done in the first 10 or 15 minutes, which is, it couldn't have gone more perfect, really, under the circumstances that Everton were in going into the game. From the starting 11 as well, if you would have picked the person to score the 2 goals, it would have been Calvert-Lewin. So it was a perfect start and kind of set the foundations for a good win. But I don't think it was a fantastic win from what I can see. And Everton were, as you would expect, the more dominant side. But it was still 3 shots on target, nothing special. But the important thing was to get the win and get a clean sheet, the first in 5 matches. So yeah, it wasn't a spectacular performance, but I think that the foundations were set early on with those 2 early goals, and it was a good thing to just see them manage the game to the point where they could hold on and keep the clean sheet.
I got to tell you, listening to it, that's the way it came across. It came across like it's a pretty low energy affair after the first 10 to 15.
Yeah.
It seemed like we had some chances. In particular, that Dominic Calvert-Lewin header in the first half that looked like he was around the 6 that just happened to go right at the keeper. He snapped through it. He definitely got some power on it. He just didn't place it.
Yeah. He took his chance as well yesterday, though. I thought, certainly our first goal.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, the second one's a lot more simple, but I thought he done really well for the first goal. And I was trying to make a point that I won't get too much into it now, but two games, his last 2 starts, he scored 3 goals now, and his XG numbers combined is about 1.5 for those 2 games, and he scored 3 goals, which is pretty impressive, really. He's overperforming, so he's on the right lines over the last couple of games, and hopefully he can keep it up.
Yeah. So he was my first talking point. To be honest with you, though, he had chances and he scored. Other than that, I don't know a whole lot else about his performance. We'll get into a little bit more about whether or not he should be starting in the next one. But I want to go to how he scored those 2. And I'll rotate to Max now. First one was a cross from Sidibe.
That was a weird ball. Can we talk about just that little fade away? It was a very strange pass combination. It was almost like a medium distance ball floated in on the air. It was nice to see the attacking players taking up different positions. Obviously, you had him coming in off the left. You had Calvert-Lewin coming in off the left. You've got Davies, who's kind of advanced through the centre. But strange goal. Not complaining, but yeah, it was a very odd goal. The second goal, just for my own personal satisfaction, it was a lot easier on the eye. I really liked the link-up play and the understanding that was demonstrated between the players. Short passes, overlapping, not getting in each other's way. And as David said, the second was certainly an easier finish.
Yeah, that one, I felt like we haven't seen a lot of those type of goals this season in terms of, especially when Sigurdsson's playing. You tend to see these kinds of goals happen when Iwobi is in and has decided he's going to try to penetrate. So yeah, that was I agree as far as like satisfaction goes. I like the build up to that one a lot more. Just watching us kind of incisively cut through. So Iwobi affecting the shape there. So this gets into more Iwobi's play, playing for Sigurdsson at that kind of more central role rather than coming in from the flanks.
Where he should play, by the way, in my opinion.
That is something I want to get to here. Okay, it affected our shape, and it affected our average positions and all kinds of stuff. So Max, anything on Iwobi doing, being able to do that, and he can penetrate a lot better than Sigurdsson, right?
Yeah,
speed and
true.
quickness.
I mean, particularly after a poor run of form, Sigurdsson just automatically becomes a point of contention, doesn't he? Especially when we're all up in arms about the 4-2-3-1, and arguably the only reason that we're rolling with that is to accommodate him in his number 10 role, and the fact that we haven't got the midfield three to roll with the 4-3-3. But yeah, pleased with Iwobi. I did like particularly seeing him and Bernard within the same side. Obviously not being able to comment on the game live obviously limits what I can actually judge from it, but it seemed to all flow well. As I said, didn't seem to be stepping on each other's toes or getting in each other's way. But in terms of creativity from central areas, I want to highlight Tom Davies, because I think that game, it just highlights how much more creativity you can get coming from the middle with players who have attacking intent. So rather than just playing it safe with the two defensive central midfielders whose only kind of job or ambition is sideways and backwards, you've got Tom Davies there, whose first thought is always to take the ball on the half turn, have his head up and look to play it forward. You obviously, we saw the pitfalls of that also, given the fact that he nearly gave the ball away before we even managed to grab a goal, which is obviously something that you've got to contend with when you play him there, and something that, again, will always be highlighted. But again, given the injury to Jabaman, beggars can't be choosers in this current situation, and I felt like obviously given championship opposition, I do feel like Davies provided a lot more than, say, what Schneidlin did alongside Delph.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to agree with there, Max. I wanted to get Terry's take on this. Davies, in particular, was a player who seemed like, I'm seeing some conflicting reports on the social media where some people are saying, "Hey, Tom Davies looked great. He needs to be starting the next match," and then I've seen some other people saying, "Oh my God, he gave the ball away so much," And sorry if y'all heard that dog bark. That was actually not. That was my phone. I have a dog barking ringtone. Yes. So Terry.
Sorry, Vince.
It was definitely not a real dog that will probably jump up on David's lap in a little while. So Terry, talk a little bit about Davies, and if you want to delve into Iwobi playing that centrally, by all means, talk on that as well.
That's not me, by the way.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, lads. Go on, sorry, Derry. Just cut me out.
My cat never does this.
Sarah, shut the fuck up. And you shut up as well. Sorry, mate. Go on, please.
What was the question? Tom Davies. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really think about Davies now without thinking about the Athletic article that Greg O'Keefe put out today about covered a lot of things, but one key part in it, Max touched on it earlier on, was that Silva wants to play a 4-3-3 with Gabaman, Delph and Gomez in the middle three. And I think that's, if obviously injuries have had their say on that, the natural number 6 that's been brought in Gabaman, he's got like a long-term injury. So I think that's been shelved for the time being. That may explain why they've reverted back to the 4-2-3-1, because it's what the players are comfortable with. I think we'd have seen a lot more of Tom Davies so far this season if we'd have been playing with that from a few games ago. I think he sees him a lot more as a middle three, box-to-box type player, because he's been, distant in the 4-2-3-1. I mean, we've touched on Tom Davies a lot before. He's been in so many different roles throughout the team. He's been sort of one of the holding players with Idrissa Gueye with Idrissa Gueye and Rooney in the past. He's been covered as number 10. He's been played as the box-to-box. I definitely like to see him there over Schneiderlin, in the midfield makeup. I know they're not the same player, but I think he's more of a positive player than Schneiderlin. I think he progresses the ball a lot more than Schneiderlin. The only problem Tom Davies has got is, and it's an unpopular thing I'm about to say, but a lot of our fans don't like our young players, or they've not got any patience for the young players. So every time he has a bad performance, or even half a bad performance, he's going to get it worse than some others, and Calvert-Lewin suffers with it the same. So I definitely think Davies has signed his long-term contract in the summer, having been told, listen, we're gonna roll for a 4-3-3 in the future, so you're gonna have a lot more. I think he's probably got more of a role to play long-term than Sigurdsson has, if that's the way we're gonna play. It's just whether we actually get to that point where Gabaman's back and he's fit and we can roll with that. I mean, and for Iwobi, I mean, everyone's been saying, I want to see Iwobi as number 10. He plays there for Nigeria. He's a lot more, mobile. He's a lot busier than Sigurdsson is in that role. Sigurdsson does offer a lot of good things, but when he's not doing it, he's a bit of a passenger, and it's frustrating a lot of people. He's a big player. He's an important player, and it shouldn't really matter this, but he's an expensive player, so people expect more of him. Iwobi, look at the second goal where he got the assist. He goes beyond the striker and pulls it back, so the striker just gets the product in the goal. You'd never see Sigurdsson do that. I would be well up for Iwobi starting more games there for as long as we're continuing with 4-2-3-1, because him and Bernard both together in the team, I think, poses a lot of difficult questions for opposition, more so than probably Sigurdsson does. Sigurdsson's still got his place, but at the minute, just on the strength of what's been played so far, I think Iwobi's probably, he'd get the nod for me.
All right, there are a couple other players we haven't really addressed too much. One of them being Sidibe. Got to work on that one. Let's roll on to David. He provided the first assist. A lot of people are saying that he looked pretty good. He looked all right. Is it a situation where, can you imagine a situation where Marco Silva starts giving him Premier League minutes, or are we still thinking he's pretty much going to go in when Seamus Coleman needs a break rather than replacing for a game or two? You know what I mean?
I 100% think he's got a chance of playing Premier League football. I did say at the time when he come in, I think he might surprise a few people. He's not here to just play back up. He's a good player. His data last season was as good as, in fact, better than Coleman's. He's played 4 games less, and he's already got an assist to his name. Coleman hasn't this season. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that go into that. It's not that black and white, but he's good going forward. He's solid in defence. I think Coleman has to be careful. He's the club captain, so he maybe gets a little bit more leeway. But I think over the next few weeks, Coleman needs to find a bit more form. Otherwise, he's going to come in my opinion.
Yeah, I asked this because, when we signed him, I was under the impression Marco wants him to to be an option. You know what I mean? He wants that competition for places. He doesn't want him to be a backup. He wants him to possibly to compete, to start. And I've actually I know one of the questions we had recently from Paul. Terry, you know Paul, one of the other half of the brothers McAllister. So, Terry, you're frozen right now, and I heard you giggle, but I didn't see your face is just like doing that. You've been frozen for a while now. So yeah. Anyway,
no, but I'm doing that on purpose. That's just the way I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's nice. I like how you're talking without your lips moving. But Paul mentioned the possibility, possibility of Coleman being replaced, in upcoming matches. So I wanted to mention that to you guys about, how imminent do we think that is? Because, Luca Dean came in really quickly for Leighton Baines and didn't give it up. It was, and I was assuming that Sadiba was brought in with similar intent. So yeah, I asked that because, like you said, David, Coleman is our captain. And he hasn't really been like directly responsible for goals where we're like, oh God, he just didn't have the pace.
So I think he's looked exposed a few times, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think defensively he's looked poor, and going forward he seems to lack that final ball every time. It's always this,
that right there.
It's almost a hit and hope for me. It's put it in and hope for the best. Whereas for me, Sadiba has a little bit more composure in the final third. He gets his head up. He attempted 2 crosses yesterday and 2 passes into the box, and 3 of them found the target. So it says to me he's just a little bit smarter with the ball. So for that reason, I just think I think he's definitely within his right to be trying to fight to play.
Good. That's good. That's awesome. Because you got to love the competition. Max, rolling on to you. Have you heard anybody mention how Holgate played yesterday? Because I'm really curious about the idea of us having an option if for some reason we're concerned about Michael Keane's quickness and being able to track down defenders who are running him behind.
No, not really, but I've got to be honest. Like when I was previewing the game with Tom the other day, I did say that I could envision Mason Holgate starting, just with the game being in Yorkshire and all, lesser opposition, Championship opposition, which obviously he'd have come up against last season when he was at West Brom. But and obviously you've got to factor the clean sheet into it all as a whole. I'm a huge Mason Holgate fan. His progress maybe hasn't flourished as much as we'd have liked, and I think I can speak collectively on most Evertonians' behalf there. Especially when you look at someone like John Stones, who come through the same academy and pretty much had a similar career path. But hopefully, fingers crossed. I've heard things coming up that he just maybe needs to knuckle down a little bit more, and that the player that we often see glimpses of will come through full throttle. But yeah, again, it's just another one of those players that I think you need to look at with a little bit of medium to long term perspective. Like still, I can't think of his age off the top of my head, but what is he, like 22, 23? So you're always going to have those kind of inconsistencies. But like David said before, first clean sheet in a while, and the coveted defence, which was being lauded for being so solid after a couple of dodgy games. That rotation's always healthy, and I do feel like he can be a viable competitor to get into the starting 11.
Yeah, I was really curious about like his concentration, and because that was the thing that really stuck out for me when he started we started giving up silly goals because he's not tracking a runner behind him, just not being entirely focused all the time. That's where it seemed like he started to break down and lose his starting spot.
Well, I mean, and even still at times from the highlights of what I saw this morning, we were still far too switched off from set pieces, and if this was Manchester City that we were up against, we would have been, more than punished for some of the opportunities that we give away.
At least we're not playing them for a while, Max?
Hey, tell me about it. But yeah, again, that kind of lingering concern about defending from set pieces remains. Just tracking your man, being aware of your surroundings, watching runners coming in from the edge of the box, like it's pretty, bog standard stuff. And after that article that come out from Matt Law from the Telegraph the other day, it did seem rather damning. Of course, when it comes to usual kind of journalistic exploits like that, just rubbish them straight away, because it just seems to be, the shit peddlers peddling shit. But, it is a legitimate cause for concern, because it is just our biggest weakness, isn't it, really? And Dave, I don't know if you can back me up, but has anyone conceded more goals from set pieces this season than us?
I don't actually know that one, mate, but leave it with me.
See, it wouldn't surprise me if we're near enough around the top of that list. Yeah. But it's something that needs to be sorted out ASAP.
Yeah, and interesting thing is, in that same article, which I read, and again, I'm not sure how much Matt Law knows about the inner workings of Everton. I don't know. And I'm not one who likes to, trash a journalist before I know anything about his or her credibility. So there's that. But, one of the things that he said that was the fact that Silva has had these long training sessions, which seems like that would be good. You know what I mean? If you're trying to make sure we get our marking down, our zonal marking system down on set pieces, one would think that would be a good thing, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't know. That's a juicy. That whole article put out a lot of vibes, and a lot of people are making assumptions right now.
Journalists, man, telling you.
It's conversation, and it definitely got some clicks. So
exactly, it's the purpose of it.
So I'm gonna give this next question to Terry, and then if anybody has some parting thoughts, we'll go after that. But Terry, some interesting stuff here against championship opposition. Can we learn anything about what we might do moving forward, or is this one of those things where it was just sort of playing the best personnel for an earlier round League Cup match? You know what I mean? Like, can we glean anything from Calvert-Lewin scoring 2 from Iwobi playing centrally? Are we going to see that kind of thing this weekend, do you think? Or is this one of those things where we're just like, we saw it, we were playing championship opposition, and there it is? Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, we probably weren't even playing championship opposition. They rested some of their better players. I'm not trying to take anything away from the performance, as long as you're in the hat. That's the main thing. But I don't think it'll have had a massive impact on the City game. Playing Sheffield Wednesday minus their best players and playing Man City are two very different things. So Calvert-Lewin's goals, good to see him scoring, especially when he's coming in for a lot of stick. But let's be honest, he always scores in the early rounds of the League Cup. It's whether that's the opposition, whether that's create more chances in those games because it's not as packed in the midfield. Whatever it is, he always scores early rounds. So I don't really take anything new from that. I'm happy he's done it, but I don't think it reveals anything. Iwobi, yeah, I'd say so. I think it shows that he's a realistic option there. He looked more dangerous than Sigurdsson's been. I don't know whether he'll start the next game there, probably not, but he is a definite option. And Sidibe, I mean, it's the only second time we've seen him. He looked better than he did in the first time against Lincoln. So we're now talking about Sidibe. Could he come in and play? Whereas before last night, we had no idea. So it was literally what we were probably always going to do. And fortunately for us, Calvert-Lewin killed the game dead quite early. Unfortunately for us, Sheffield United didn't really seem like they were. The crowd sounded like they were up for it, but their teams, the rest of the players, they're not prioritising that game. They're more prioritising their league campaign. So, no, I don't think we can take a lot from it. I think it was just a run-of-the-mill League Cup match that went to plan, whereas in the past sometimes they blow up in your face. But I think if Silva would have known what the team he was going to come up against, I think he would have probably made more changes. He probably started Lazel and players like that. But obviously, he started strong against Lincoln, started strong against Sheffield United. He's clearly been given the instruction of to take this competition more seriously this time rather than after going out so early last season.
And a lot of people have commented on that as well, Terry. Any other parting thoughts, Terry, or am I free to move on?
No, not really. I mean, good to be in the hat for the next round. Let's hope we get a home draw against not Man City or Liverpool, and let's try and win this cup. It's obviously luck's got a lot of things to do with it, but it's a cup we've never won. We should have won. We can win. Let's go for it.
Nice. David, anything else from you, man?
No, if anyone wants to read a little bit more about the games, some of those, but basically all the plays that we discussed then are the 3 or 4 plays that I highlighted in my piece and delve into a little bit deeper on their performances. You know, Iwobi compared to Singleton in the number 10 role and stuff. So do check it out if you want to have a little look and you didn't manage to catch the game.
I'll be doing that after this. I actually will be. Max, anything else, bud?
Fabian Delph played well.
Hey.
Yeah, I think there was a part of the game where he made an excellent kind of surge forward, breaking the lines and holding off a few challenges, and that's something that I've really liked how he seemed to hit the ground running, joining Everton.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and close this extra time. Everton do roll on, which is nice. We'll see. I guess the draw is today. Yeah.
Couple of hours. Yeah.
Tonight, mate. Yeah. Post Liverpool getting knocked out.
Tonight for y'all. For me, it's like
middle of the day.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see who our opposition is soon. If you've been digging the videos, please subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. If you want more David, check his Twitter. He's all over the place, and I would give you very specific indicators as to where, but that would be possibly another 15 minutes. Check his Twitter. He will tell you when and where he will be. He's appearing on a lot of podcasts. He's doing a lot of podcast material these days as well, so just check him out. Max, if you want more Max does a little bit of the old content on the Toffee Blues website, so check that out. He's got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline as well, but you'll have to find out about that coming up. So keep an eye on his Twitter. And Terry appears on the Liverpool Echo fan jury. They print his words, whatever he says, as long as it's Everton-based. Yeah, it's on there. So keep an eye on his Twitter. Me, I'm just some old gray-haired guy. So I guess that's it. We'll move on. Talk match preview. City. Ugh. All right. Bye.